Life Audio.
Welcome to the TMUS podcast, where we share how grace, commitment, and cooperation can help couples live the everyday moments of marriage together. Hey everyone, we're Ted.
And Ashley Slater. As couples, we aren't bidding millions on artwork, movie props, or sports memorabilia, but we do regularly make emotional bids in marriage. Bids are invitations from and to our spouse for connection. Today we talk about bids and how we can respond to them. So Ted.
Hello.
When I married you, you were quite the eBay auction
I would watch.
participant.
I would scan it for like musical stuff and weird stuff and watch them. And I learned really to wait until the last 20 seconds to bid. Maybe the last 10 seconds. Maybe the last 5 seconds. But yeah, I've picked up some weird stuff over the years from eBay.
So when was the last time you did an auction on eBay? Do you remember?
Oh, my Lance. It's been so long because that was kind of a frivolous, light-hearted, fun thing where I was just buying like an old school movie projector or an old record that's made out of metal. Weird stuff.
Right.
But I haven't done that in so many years.
Well, today we are talking about bids that we make to our spouse for connection. But before we jump into what those are and how we can better respond to them, in light of your eBay bidding history, I thought it would be fun to talk about some of the most expensive auction items in recorded history. And of course, these did not go on eBay.
Okay,
they were
these are not eBay auctions. These are any auctions.
These are like Christie's or those big,
people bidding against each other.
Expensive places.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did some research, and I have a few. What do you think might have been the most expensive painting sold at auction?
See, I was thinking it would be a painting. I think a painting would be at an auction. I'm going to say I might be high. $110 million.
But which painting?
It was a painting that you made when you were but a child.
I would not love if I was having the answer to this. So the most expensive painting sold at auction.
It's a Renoir or Monet or
it's a Leonardo
da Vinci.
Yes.
Of course.
Called Salvator Mundi. Have you heard of that one?
Savior of the world. No,
Yeah.
I haven't.
It's the one where Jesus is in blue Renaissance clothing.
Okay.
And I guess it's one, there's only...
He was a fan of the Renaissance fashion scene.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, there's less than 20 paintings by Da Vinci still around. And I guess this one was lost for a while. But it sold in 2017 for $450.3 million.
Oh, that 0.3 million?
Yeah.
Really?
And I think it went to Saudi Arabia's crown prince.
Wow, that's like $500 million, right?
Right.
Oh my, but there is only one of a kind. He's not painting anymore, so
This is true.
I get it.
It's very rare.
Oh.
Okay. Most expensive piece of clothing sold at auction.
Was it that one you picked up last week from...
You gotta give me a serious answer.
Everything I say is serious. An article of clothing would be something that was that's either priestly or kingly.
Not exactly.
Okay.
But the most expensive piece of clothing sold at auction is Marilyn Monroe's Happy Birthday dress. She wore it.
Serious?
Yeah, when she sang Happy Birthday to JFK in 1962.
I've seen the video. How much
And
did
in
that sell for?
2016, it sold for $4.8 million.
For an article of clothing?
Yes.
Wow. That's a lot of money.
Okay, I'm going to give you the next one. I'm not going to make you guess.
No, I want to guess.
All right, most expensive jewel.
The most expensive jewel was that big blue one that kills people.
Big blue one that kills people? I think there was a big blue one that was up on the list.
Okay.
But this is, I don't think it kills people that I'm aware of, though. The pink star diamond. Ooh. It's an almost 60-carat pink diamond.
60 carats. You can make a lot of mirepoix with that.
Not those kind of carats. It sold in 2017 for $71.2 million.
Oh, my lands. Yeah, well, I stay away from those things because I do consider them dangerous.
Okay, I have two more for you.
Okay.
Most expensive movie couldn't say movie there. Movie, memorabilia, or prop sold at auction.
Okay, something from the 30s.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's something from that one movie that was made around the 30s. So was that right?
You're being very vague. The movie was made in 1939.
Uh-huh.
Does that give you a clue?
Yeah, it's the Wizard of Oz's shoes.
Yes. Apparently there were 4.
Or Dorothy's. I don't know what shoes they were.
There were 4 pairs of
the witch's
slippers.
Shoes that she stole.
I guess it's the perspective you take, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So they sold for $28 million in 2024.
Goodness, for shoes.
Yeah, and they were the last of 4 pairs that were used for the movie.
Okay. Well, you haven't bought that expensive shoe. We're good.
We're very good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, one more.
Yes.
This is sports memorabilia.
And we're talking about bidding here. There's a theme. Okay.
Yes. Do you want to guess?
Sports memorabilia?
Yeah.
A baseball from what's his name? That one guy that's really famous from like the 20s or 50s or something.
Babe Ruth?
Yeah.
Yes, but it was not a baseball. It was actually his jersey from the 1932 World Series.
Was it signed?
I don't know. I don't think it was. I don't know. I didn't look.
How much did that sell for?
It sold for $24.12 million in 2024.
So that sounds like an article of clothing to me. How much was what's her name's dress?
You're right. Well, it was $4.8 million.
That's still a lot of money for clothes.
Right. I mean,
textiles.
Do you just like display it in your house? What do you do? Donate it to a museum?
Maybe.
I don't know. That's
wild.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as couples, we aren't bidding millions or billions on artwork, movie props, or sports memorabilia. Mm-hmm. I have a hard time with that word today.
Come on,
memorabilia.
You're going to say we're bidding something more priceless. Our relationships.
I was not going to say that, but that's good. But we do regularly make bids in marriage. And after a short break, we'll talk about what those are and how to respond.
Yeah.
Christian parents, what college will prepare your student to compete with the best while encouraging them to love their country and grow in their walk with Christ? Patrick Henry College. Located in Northern Virginia, Patrick Henry College is the place for high-achieving, conservative Christian students. Already a top pre-law college, PHC has another one-of-a-kind program, Economics and Business Analytics. EBA takes your business-minded STEM student and produces a graduate capable of servant leadership at the highest levels. Find out more at phc.edu/EBA.
So today we are talking about bids in marriage, and I admit that I had never heard the term bid used in this context until maybe the last year or two. So what is a bid?
Yeah, this is cool. This is a new, fresh kind of thing. I haven't really thought of it.
Yeah,
so what is a bid?
We haven't covered on the podcast before. Well,
What's
the term bids for connection was coined by doctors John and Julie Gottman, like the Gottman Institute. But I really love Greg and Aaron Smalia focus on the family's definition of a bid. And they say it is, and I quote, an invitation to connect, any positive action that you do to get your spouse's attention, affirmation, affection, or support. And it can be small or big. It can be verbal or nonverbal.
Wow. This opens up a lot of conversation, doesn't it?
Right. That we're going to try to put into 20 minutes.
How you receive a bid or respond to a bid. Cool.
Right.
This is great.
And I found it interesting that Logan Urey over at the Gottman Institute's website says that, and I'm quoting again, bids are often purposefully subtle because people are afraid to be vulnerable and put themselves out there. So instead of saying, hey, I want to connect, we might ask a question, tell a story, wink, or offer our hand. It's a less scary way to ask for connection.
Absolutely. You're not, if you're rejected, you could say, I was just twitching. I wasn't moving in for a kiss there. That was a twitch.
Involuntary movement.
Involuntary movement.
Yeah. Okay. So we can, as spouses, respond to a bid in 3 ways. We can, 1, turn toward our spouse, which is the ideal way to respond.
Yes.
We can turn away from our spouse, or we can turn against our spouse.
Can you wait for another bid, like a higher bid?
I suppose, but here's the thing, and I think this will come out as we talk. If you're going to turn away or turn against that initial bid, you're probably not going to get a higher bid because your spouse is going to feel rejected.
Absolutely. I was just kind of joking.
I know you were.
It was a dumb joke.
So turning toward creates connection, while turning away and against creates distance and disconnection.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
So I was curious what it looks like to turn away, turn against, and turn toward.
Okay.
And you'll find I did a lot of research for this episode.
Oh, excellent.
Because this is a newer concept.
For both
like
of
I
us.
said, I hadn't really heard of this terminology until the last couple years.
Yeah.
Okay. So I found some great examples of turning toward and turning away in an article from lifehack.com. And I thought I'd share a couple. So Ted, say I ask you about your day.
Okay.
If you are turning toward me, you'll give me details and then ask me about my day. So turning toward includes responding and keeping the conversation going.
So it might be, I had some challenging projects, finished something, did well with another sort of task. How about you? What have you been up to?
Right.
Is that?
Yeah. I think
toward?
that is turning toward, from my understanding. Like if you were turning away, you'll give like a one-word answer, like good, fine. Things that don't continue the conversation.
Right. Well, I value the question and the opportunity. So, if there's a bid, I would like to turn toward you.
Right. So another example is, and this is one I think I can get better at turning towards you during, is say you let out a big sigh. If I'm turning towards you, I might ask, are you okay? What's on your mind? But if I'm turning away, I might roll my eyes and ask, what's wrong?
Shut up.
No. What's wrong now?
What's wrong now?
Yeah. And turning against when it comes to any bid, not just these examples, is responding with anger, hostility, or criticism.
Or I'm going to turn up the TV right now because your sighing is really annoying.
Right. Or, it could be you're feeling emotional again. You're always emotional. that kind of things that shut down the conversation.
A sigh is a kind of communication that could be interpreted as a bid.
Right.
Huh.
Because, if you're sitting there watching TV or eating dinner and it's like...
Well, you are expressing yourself. It could be a bid. It could be as simple as, I just had air in my lungs that needed to get out.
Yeah. Normally if I'm sighing, though, it's because I'm frustrated or it's been a long day or something.
Okay.
So, when you sigh, I normally say, hey, why are you sighing?
If I hear you sigh, what should I say?
Are you okay?
You all right? Everything cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's not hard.
No. Okay, so obviously we want to turn toward our spouse.
Yes.
So how can we intentionally recognize and accept bids? Well, I did some research, and we're going to take another short break. And after we come back, we'll talk about what I learned.
Cool.
Okay, so what are some ways we can intentionally turn toward our spouse when they make a bid for connection? So the first thing I found when I was doing my research is pay attention.
Okay.
An article over at the Gottman Institute website titled Turn Towards Instead of Away says, and I'm quoting, turning towards starts with paying attention. Simply recognizing that a bid was made opens the door to the response. If you pay attention, you'll respond to both the text and the subtext. And I thought it was interesting because the author explains that bids usually have a secondary layer.
Yeah, the subtext.
That's the subtext,
okay.
Right. So the author then shares Dr. Gottman's list, because Dr. Gottman was the one that coined kind of this term, bids for connection. His list of minor bids for emotional connection. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes. But examples include a bid that says, chat with me, might be something like, let me tell you what happened next. Like if you're telling a story, or a bid that says, respond to my joke, might be something like, did you hear the one about? You do a lot of the bids to respond to jokes, now that I think about it.
Do I?
And then if you don't get the response you want, you're like, did you get that? Wasn't that funny? Let me tell it again.
Yeah, let me tell it a third time.
Right.
Just in case. Maybe it wasn't that funny.
I don't know. Depends on the joke. Okay, so first, pay attention. 2, practice 3 key elements. So in my research, I also found that when we're responding, there are some key elements that characterize turning toward. And these include active listening, validating feelings, and responding with interest and not passivity. I think those are all straightforward.
Yeah, you're going to have these in the show notes, right? Because it's starting to get to the place where I really have to start pondering and thinking.
I can put the points in the show notes. I don't always because it makes them long.
Okay.
But I can do that for this week.
Well, this makes sense. So do we want to walk through what that could look like? Active listening? Like say we're sitting on the couch and you let out a big sigh. So the first thing, of course, is I'm paying attention. I heard you sigh. So an active listening might be, you just let out a sigh. Is everything okay? And then you might say, well, I've been feeling pressure with kids or with whatever, editing, and I can validate your feelings. That's the second one, right? I can say, I can see why that would stress you out.
Yeah.
And the third one is responding with interest and not passivity. Well, I'm giving you my
right. So these might not be a 1, 2, 3. They're just
try
practice all three of them. Yeah. And I mean, active listening might kind of also be clarifying, saying, okay, so I hear you're saying you're really feeling such and such.
Okay.
So that you make sure that, you understand what I'm saying. Because sometimes we do have misconnects where I say one thing, but you think I'm saying something else. And then that leads to frustration.
Yeah. Or I might let out a sigh. And for me, it's just, I don't know, a tick. It's just me breathing weird.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I just sigh just because I like the feeling of the air going out of my face.
Like, this feels good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so number 3.
Yeah.
You ready for 3?
Yeah.
Okay, prioritize responding. So I think in our marriage, and I mentioned this to you earlier when I just kind of gave you a heads up on what the topic is that sometimes it's hard for us to respond to bids for attention because our schedules are really out of sync.
Right.
Just are I tend to be earlier in the morning, hey, let's talk, let's connect, and you're more late at night.
Yeah.
So you're tired in the morning because you're still waking up.
Isn't that funny?
And I'm tired at night. And then sometimes by the time you're ready during the day to kind of connect, I've already started homeschooling. And I'm like, well, now I've got my attention here. So I think that this is an area that we could, fine tune or talk through and figure out, okay, maybe there's, how do we prioritize responding in the midst of all of the responsibilities and challenges and schedule of the day?
Right. And our state, the condition we're in to be able to respond in a productive way, is that?
Yeah.
That's kind of a weird way to phrase that, isn't it?
Well, I think just
like in the morning, I tend to be a better conversationalist after I've had a chance to wake up.
Yes. And by that time, I've been awake for 4 to 6 hours. I'm like, well, now I'm in the middle of this.
You're up at 4 and I crawl out at 8 or 9.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that is something we can definitely kind of figure out how to do better. Because I know there are times I walk away going, oh, wait, I missed that opportunity to connect.
Okay.
So, or maybe be aware of those things, and that can help those moments when we go, oh, wait a minute, I missed connecting. Okay, next time I'm going to be more aware that was a bid to connect.
Sure. Yeah. Or even if you're offering a bid and it's a little subtle and it went over my head, you could say, it was a bid, by the way.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah. All right. So to recap, as spouses, we are constantly making bids for connection with each other. We can respond by turning toward, turning away, or turning against, but our goal is to turn toward. We can be intentional to do this by paying attention and prioritizing responding with active listening, validation of feelings, and positive interest. So we're going to take one more break, and when we return, we'll be back with this week's Us Time Challenge. So for this week's Us Time Challenge, pay attention to your spouse's bids for connection this week and make it a priority to turn toward them.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, even including the term bid in your vocabulary, your communication toolkit, right? Because we haven't really had that term before. Yeah.
I mean, there's part of me as a woman who's like, I don't want to have to say I'm bidding for your attention right now.
Well, maybe you'll have to do that a couple of times, and then I'll start to pick up on it better.
Yeah, it's very much, I think of, and we're supposed to be wrapping up here, but I think of Seussical, and there's, Gertrude, who loves Horton, and he's so distracted he doesn't even notice her, and she has a whole song about Notice Me, Horton. Right. And so I think as spouses, we might sometimes feel like that during daily life. I know I felt that way before. It's like, okay, notice me, Ted. Hello.
That's really good. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm sure I've done the same, that's been reversed. So
be aware of bids, respond to them, turn toward your spouse. And just use the term bid maybe more.
Yeah, maybe
familiarizing yourself with
see how it helps your connection. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on the Team Us podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast, and we'd love to have you leave a review at Apple Podcasts. We're looking forward to next time as we keep talking about how grace, commitment, and cooperation can help couples live the everyday moments of marriage together.
Team Us with Ted and Ashley Slater is a production of Life Audio and Salem Media. If you liked what you heard today, please take a second to rate and review the podcast in your favorite podcast app so that more listeners like you can find the show. For more faith-filled, inspirational podcasts, visit us at lifeaudio.com.
Feeling stressed? Let's take better care of you. I'm Bonnie Gray, the host of Breathe, the Stress Less podcast. Subscribe at lifeaudio.com.